Here is something that will completely contradict everything you have been told about building financial stability in your life. The people who are the most financially secure right now are not the ones earning the most money, driving the most expensive cars, or living in the biggest houses on the block. They are, in most cases, living in homes smaller than their income could afford, driving cars that are 3 to 5 years old, and spending money on almost nothing that other people can actually see. And while you have been chasing a bigger salary, a better job title, or the next promotion that was supposed to finally fix everything, these people quietly built something you cannot easily destroy. They built stability. Not wealth as a performance, not success as a costume. Actual, boring, unshakable financial stability that does not disappear the moment the economy shifts or your employer decides to restructure. Now, here's the prediction most financial gurus will never make because it does not sell courses or coaching packages or weekend seminars. You do not need more money to become financially stable. You need fewer financial decisions to make every single month. That idea sounds almost offensive when you first hear it, because everything in your culture has trained you to believe that more is the answer. More income, more hustle, more investing, more optimization. But the data tells a completely different story, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why simplicity is the most powerful financial strategy available to you right now, regardless of how much you currently earn. The concept is called decision fatigue debt, and once you understand how it works against you every single day, you will never look at your finances the same way again. Here's the simple version for you. Every financial decision you make, no matter how small, drains a fixed pool of mental energy you cannot fully replenish by just sleeping more or drinking more coffee. Researchers at Princeton found that people who face more daily decisions consistently make worse choices later in the day, not because they're less intelligent, but because the brain literally conserves energy by defaulting to either impulsive choices or complete avoidance of the decision entirely. Now apply that directly to your financial life for a moment. You wake up and you think about whether to buy coffee or make it at home. That's a decision. You check your bank app and wonder whether to transfer money to savings this week or wait. That's a decision. You get a notification about a sale and spend 11 minutes debating whether to buy something you did not need this morning. That's a decision. By the time you face the genuinely important financial choices, whether to invest this month, whether to renegotiate your rent, whether to cancel 3 subscriptions you've been meaning to cancel for 6 months, your brain is already operating at a deficit. What most people never realize is that financial instability is not primarily a math problem. It's an energy management problem in disguise. The minimalist money approach does not ask you to spend less on everything you enjoy. It asks you to eliminate the decisions that are quietly bankrupting your mental bandwidth before you ever get to the choices that actually matter. Here's where it gets interesting for you. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology showed that people who automated even 3 recurring financial decisions reported significantly lower financial stress within 90 days, not because their income changed, but because the cognitive load of managing money had decreased. Fewer decisions, less stress, better outcomes. That's the entire architecture of what you're about to learn. Rule 1. Own your number before you spend a single dollar. The principle: most people operate their financial lives without a single clear, written number that represents what they actually need to survive comfortably each month. Not thrive extravagantly, not impress anyone, just cover genuine needs with a small buffer of sanity intact. Without that number, every spending decision you make is happening in a vacuum, guided only by what feels right in the moment, which is almost always more than you actually need. The example: if your true monthly baseline, rent, utilities, groceries, transport, and insurance is $2,400 and you're earning $4,200 after tax, then you have $1,800 of real decisions to make each month. But if you've never written that $2,400 number down and stared at it, you're spending all $4,200 through a fog and wondering at the end of the month where it went. The consequence: without your number, you will perpetually feel like you're not earning enough even when you are, because you have no baseline against which to measure anything, and every month ends in the same vague financial anxiety that never fully resolves. This brings us to a rule that builds directly on top of your number, because knowing it is only half of what you need. Rule 2. Automate the decision before the money arrives. The principle, the single most powerful thing you can do with your finances, is to make the important decisions once, and then remove your own ability to undo them impulsively on a Tuesday evening when you're tired and the internet is full of things to buy.
Automation is not about laziness. It is about protecting your future self from your present self, which is statistically proven to be worse at long-term thinking whenever it is stressed, hungry, or mildly bored. The example: on the day your salary lands, an automatic transfer of $400 moves to your savings account before you have even opened the app. You never see it sitting in your checking balance. You never decide whether to move it this week or next. It is already gone, already working, and your brain never had to spend 1 calorie of energy debating it. The consequence: every month you delay automating your savings is a month where that decision has to be made manually. And research from Vanguard shows that people who manually save put away 34% less per year on average than those who automate the exact same amount, simply because manual decisions get skipped, postponed, and quietly abandoned. But automation alone is not enough if what you are automating is built on a foundation of financial leaks you have never noticed. Rule 3. Audit every recurring charge with zero mercy. The principle: your bank account is leaking money every single month through subscriptions, memberships, and automatic renewals you signed up for at a moment of enthusiasm and have not thought about since. And the companies charging you are relying entirely on your inattention to keep that money flowing. This is not a small problem, it's a structural one, because the charges are designed to be small enough to feel invisible individually while adding up to a genuinely significant number over 12 months. The example: the average American household is currently paying for 4.5 streaming services, 2 gym or app memberships they use fewer than twice per month, and at least 1 software subscription they completely forgot existed, adding up to somewhere between $180 and $340 per month in charges that deliver almost no actual value to their daily lives. If you do not audit your recurring charges at least once per quarter, you will spend between $2,160 and $4,080 this year on services that are making your life no richer, no healthier, and no more enjoyable. Money that could have been compounding in an investment account instead. Now, once you understand what is leaking out, you need a rule that governs what you allow to come in. Rule 4. Apply the 72-hour rule to every non-essential purchase. The principle: your brain in a store, physical or digital, is not the same brain that will evaluate that purchase 3 days later, because retail environments and e-commerce platforms are engineered by behavioral psychologists to manufacture urgency that does not actually exist and to make you feel that waiting is losing. The 72-hour rule breaks that artificial urgency completely by inserting time between the impulse and the action, which is the single most effective point of intervention in impulsive spending behavior. The example: you see a $220 jacket online. It's on sale for the next 12 hours, and every neuron in your brain is telling you to buy it right now before someone else does. You put it in your cart and close the tab. 72 hours later, you think about the jacket for approximately 45 seconds and then move on with your day, having saved $220 without any sense of deprivation whatsoever. The consequence: studies on consumer behavior consistently show that between 60 and 80% of non-essential purchases that are delayed by more than 48 hours are ultimately abandoned, which means the 72-hour rule alone can reduce your discretionary spending by more than half without requiring any willpower on your part in the moment. This rule handles individual purchases, but the next rule addresses something far more expensive that most people never even think of as spending. Rule 5. Never upgrade your lifestyle faster than your savings rate. The principle: Lifestyle inflation is the silent killer of financial stability, not because spending money on better things is wrong, but because most people upgrade their expenses the moment their income rises, which means their financial cushion never actually grows regardless of how much their career advances. The rule is not that you can never upgrade your life, it is that every lifestyle upgrade must be preceded by a savings rate upgrade of at least equal proportion. The example: you get a raise of $600 per month. Before you redirect any of that money to a better apartment or a nicer car, you increase your automatic savings transfer by $300, exactly 50% of the raise. The remaining $300 is yours to spend on whatever lifestyle upgrade genuinely improves your daily life. Your life gets better, and your financial foundation gets stronger at the exact same time. The consequence, if you absorb 100% of every raise into lifestyle, which surveys show roughly 67% of Americans do consistently, you will reach your peak earning years still living paycheck to paycheck, with a more expensive lifestyle but the same fragile financial structure you had a decade earlier. And here's the rule that determines whether the money you do save will actually work for you over time. Rule 6. Separate your money into rolls before it touches your checking account. The principle: money that sits in a single account is psychologically available for everything, which means it's practically available for nothing specific. It's always competing with every other potential use, and the loudest and most immediate need almost always wins. Giving every dollar a defined role before it enters your spending account removes the constant internal negotiation that drains your financial energy throughout the month. The example: your paycheck of $4,200 hits your primary account, and within 24 hours, automated transfers distribute it as follows: $400 to long-term savings, $200 to an emergency fund until it reaches $10,000, $150 to a sinking fund for irregular expenses like car maintenance and annual subscriptions, and $3,450 remains for monthly living. Each dollar knows exactly where it belongs, and your checking account reflects only the money that is genuinely available to spend. Without role-based separation, you will repeatedly drain your savings to cover predictable expenses, car insurance renewals, medical co-pays, holiday spending that felt unexpected simply because you had no dedicated account absorbing them in advance, which creates a cycle where your savings never actually accumulate to a meaningful level. But there's a deeper layer to financial stability that goes beyond the mechanics of money management entirely. Rule 7. Define what enough looks like before the market defines it for you. The principle: the financial industry, the advertising industry, and most of the social media you consume have a powerful shared interest in ensuring that you never feel that what you have is sufficient, because your dissatisfaction with your current financial situation is the engine that drives their revenue.
If you do not define your own version of enough, clearly, specifically, and in writing, someone else will redefine it upward for you every year for the rest of your life, and you will always be 6 months away from the stability you were looking for. The example: rather than working toward a vague notion of financial freedom that keeps shifting as you earn more, you write down a specific number. You need $3,800 per month in passive or semi-passive income to cover your actual baseline expenses plus a genuine comfort buffer. That number does not change because your neighbor bought a boat. That number is yours, and everything you build is in service of reaching it. The consequence: without a defined enough, you will hit $100,000 in savings and immediately recalibrate your anxiety to $500,000, then to $1 million, experiencing zero increase in actual security or peace of mind despite a decade of genuine financial progress, because the goalpost moves faster than your portfolio grows. The final rule brings everything together into a practice that most people find almost uncomfortably simple. Rule 8. Conduct a monthly financial review of no more than 30 minutes. The principle: Financial stability does not come from obsessively monitoring every transaction in real time. That level of attention creates anxiety without proportional benefit, and most people who track every dollar report higher financial stress, not lower, because they are constantly reminded of every imperfect decision they have made. What actually works is a short, structured monthly review that asks 4 specific questions and nothing more. The example: on the first Sunday of every month, you sit down for 25 minutes with your accounts open and you answer 4 questions in writing. Did your net worth increase this month? Did your savings rate hold at or above your target? Is there any recurring charge you want to eliminate? Is there any financial decision you have been avoiding that needs to be made today? That is the entire review. You close the laptop and live your life until the first Sunday of next month. The consequence: without a consistent review structure, small financial problems, a creeping grocery bill, a savings rate that quietly dropped when life got busy, a debt with a rising interest rate, compound invisibly for months before you notice them, and what could have been corrected in 5 minutes at month 1 becomes a genuine crisis by month 6. This week, you open your bank statements from the last 30 days and you write down every single recurring charge that hit your account, no matter how small, because you cannot make better decisions about your money until you can actually see where it is going. And right now, there is almost certainly at least $80 worth of charges on that list that you cannot immediately justify. This month, you set up one automatic transfer, just one, that moves a fixed amount to a separate savings account on the same day your salary arrives, even if that amount is only $50, because the habit of automating a financial decision matters infinitely more than the size of the number you start with. And 30 days from now, your future self will have $50 they did not have to think about. This quarter, you build your money rolls system by opening 2 additional accounts, one labeled Emergency Fund and one labeled Sinking Fund, and you write down the specific monthly contribution each one will receive. Because without a structural separation between different types of money, every account you own will eventually get used for everything, and none of them will ever reach their intended purpose. This year, you write your enough number, the specific monthly passive income figure that would make you genuinely, sustainably financially secure, and you place it somewhere you will see it regularly, because every financial rule in this video is ultimately in service of one thing. And without knowing what that thing is for you specifically, you will keep optimizing tactics in the absence of a destination. Remember the prediction at the beginning of this video that you do not need more money to become financially stable, you need fewer financial decisions to make every single month. Here's the full picture of why that's true now that you've seen all 8 rules working together. Every rule in this framework is designed to do the same thing: remove a category of recurring financial decisions from your monthly cognitive load and replace it with a system that runs without requiring your attention or your willpower. When you know your number, you stop making spending decisions in a vacuum. When you automate savings, you stop deciding whether to save each month. When you audit recurring charges, you stop bleeding money through decisions you made years ago. When you apply the 72 rule, you stop making purchases that your future self will regret. When you separate your money into roles, you stop having the same argument with yourself about whether a given dollar is available to spend. This is the virtuous cycle available to you right now. You simplify one financial decision, your mental energy increases, you make better choices with the remaining decisions, your financial outcomes improve, simplifying the next decision becomes easier because you now have evidence that the system works. And the destructive cycle, for contrast, looks like this. You continue managing money reactively, decision fatigue accumulates, you make impulsive or avoidant choices, your financial outcomes deteriorate, the stress of deteriorating finances makes every subsequent decision even harder to make clearly. You are already in one of those 2 cycles right now. A study published in the American Economic Review found that households who reduced the number of active financial decisions they made per month by just 40% through automation and simplification accumulated 2.3 times more wealth over a 10-year period than comparable households with similar incomes who managed money manually and reactively. Not because they were smarter, not because they earned more, because they made the system do the work instead of asking themselves to make perfect decisions every single day under conditions of stress and exhaustion. The most radical financial act available to you in the modern world is not finding the best stock or the highest yield savings account, it's deciding clearly and deliberately what your financial life is actually for, and then building the simplest possible system to get you there. The question worth sitting with is this: are you managing your money, or is the complexity of your money quietly managing you?